Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael for another edition of Oilers Live Tuesday. Late night edition, I guess, of Oilers Live Tuesday as we're into the second round of the NHL playoffs. We've got a few of my closest friends that I rarely ever get to see in person. But one that I haven't seen in a very long time, Mr. SPR himself, Sean. Welcome back to Oilers Live. We haven't seen you for a while.
Thank you, sir.
And then, of course, Mr. Mike Dursa, who I haven't had on the show for a while either. I don't think, maybe a few weeks at least. Welcome. And Dash in the Park, who, he's been on once or twice recently. But welcome anyway, Dash. Happy to have you as always. Love the hat, by the way. That's
Thank you. It's brand new.
pretty classic one there. Loving it. Loving all the Oilers gear out there. If you see behind me, I've got the Wayne Gretzky doll, which I'm going to play with probably later. When we're all done here, you know, ride the Barbie mobile somewhere down. That's what I do late at night.
And out of sheer humility, you have a pillow with your own face on it right
That's
beside
right.
it.
Yeah, while the face is turned inward. In fact, Sean, the sad part is if you do turn that pillow around, it is my smiling face on there. It's quite sad.
It's
It
great.
is
Wonderful.
a little bit creepy. So this is a Oilers Live second round preview after what was an interesting first round. And to start today, I'm going to Dash and I did a first round preview a couple weeks back before the first round started, and it's almost shameful to say our picks. We'll go through them anyway because we had Boston and Florida. Dash took Boston in 6. I took Boston in 4. Obviously, both of us wrong there. Toronto and T-Bay. Dash took Tampa in 7. Sorry, I took Tampa in 6. Wrong. Islanders and Canes. Dash took Islanders in 5. I took Islanders in 7. Wrong. Rangers and Devils. Dash took Rangers in 7. I finally got one right, but I didn't get the amount of games right. I said Devils in 6. So the Eastern Conference was not nice to us, Dash, I'd have to say. Going into the Western Conference, the Golden Knights and Jets. Dash had the Knights in 5. Good call on that one. I had the Jets in 7. Clearly, the Jets were lucky they weren't out in 2 in that one. Avalanche and Kraken. I had the Avs in 5. Dash had the Avs in 4. Stars and Wild. The only one we were both right on. Dash had Stars in 5. I had the Stars in 7. And then the Oilers and Kings, we were both right on that one as well. Dash had Oilers in 7 and Oilers in 5. So clearly had a better vantage point of what was going to happen in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. Pretty crazy. And Sean, I haven't heard from you for a while, but so maybe I just will get a little recap from everybody, but I'd love to start with you. What were your thoughts on the first round? I mean, I think I told you off air before we started. I had two series that I was sure on: the Avalanche series and the Boston series, both in 7, and I would have not been surprised if the Avs took it in 4 and the Bruins took it in 4. Obviously, it didn't happen that way. But your thoughts on the first round of the playoffs so far?
Yeah, it was exciting first round. I had pretty much the same picks, quite honestly. I thought the Rangers would win. I did take Seattle just because they were the best 5-on-5 team all year, and Grubauer against his old team, and Colorado had so many guys injured, and Stanley Cup hangover. That was kind of my upset. But other than that, I took Tampa too because I just like betting against the Leafs.
Just about everybody, let's be honest.
Yeah, and I had Vegas too, I guess. That wasn't really an upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good first round. It was exciting. Lots of overtime games, and wasn't too fond of the officiating overall the first round. But yeah, I thought it was good. Nice. Yeah. Nice to play hockey again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was one of the more exciting first rounds, especially with all the upsets that happened.
Yeah.
So your thoughts, first round recap?
Did you say me? Sorry.
Yeah, I said.
Oh, it was a little bit hard for me. My fiance is a big time Bruins fan, so she kind of pulled the Homer Simpson and went into the bushes with her Bruins jersey and came out with her Oilers jersey. She's a pretty good sport about it. I wouldn't have been as happy as she was after they lost, but she said today she was a little bit sad still, but didn't expect that one. Florida, was in hibernation all season, and they seemed to come out just in time to make the playoffs, and they've showed up for the first round against Boston. Took them out, and they look like they're on their way to do some damage against the Leafs. That series might go the distance, or Florida might just totally, wipe them out. I mean, they've had to get up to be able to play at a high level, and I think they're there. And surprised that the Avalanche are out at the beginning of the year. They were my repeat Cup champ prediction, so I was definitely wrong there. Not sad about it though, but yeah, like Sean said, they've been pretty injury riddled all season, and I think it took effect in the first round. So the door is open for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And save the best for last, Mr. Dash. There's a compliment. You get a few of them once in a while. What do you got on the first round recap for?
Well, you don't ask me back 45 times because I'm.
You don't count how many times you've been on unless you enjoy being on here.
You're more than just a pretty face.
That's right.
Hey, I certainly don't bite my tongue. Let's see. First round. Clearly we didn't have our finger exactly what was going on in the East. A lot of surprises there. I probably in my brain knew Toronto was going to win, but in my heart, I just wanted Tampa to win so bad. So that was part of it, I think, picking with my heart. Maybe the biggest surprise being New Jersey for me. I had the Rangers going all the way to the Cup final. I knew that they would struggle with defense, seeing the types of players even that they picked up in Tarasenko and Kane. I don't think those guys are known for being fleet of foot, if you will. Kreider's not known for his speed. Zibanejad's not known for his defense. They crammed a top 6 or top 9 there. Panarin's not known for his defense that, may have been set up to struggle in the playoffs. You've got maybe the second best goaltender in the world and a literal human freight train in Jacob Trouba on the back end. But New Jersey was a defensive clinic. It was really surprising for me to see. I heard earlier that Nico Hischier played 96 minutes of 5-on-5 and gave up 11 high danger scoring chances, but had 33 or 32 for when he was on the ice. Played 30 some minutes head to head with Zibanejad, and during that time, Zibanejad had 0 goals and 5 shots. So just like an absolute clinic. And I don't think that I don't know. I'm not sure that speed and that system can be stopped. That said, on the West, we were a little more accurate there. I think that was fun to see the Oilers come and do what they did with LA. Colorado, bit of a surprise. if we're going to pick a upset on the West, it probably would have been Seattle. I just didn't. I also had them playing each other in the conference final again. So a little bit scared of Dallas still. Ottinger to me is still being Ottinger of last year, this season, this playoffs. I'm not sure Seattle can keep doing that against Dallas. But sure, we'll get into that. It was a really entertaining first round.
Yeah. I mean, general consensus, I'd say, from everybody is entertaining first round. One thing none of you mentioned, but I'm sure, we didn't really talk about the Oilers series, which is the Oilers are now 21 games without a loss in regulation. I mean, who would have saw that coming? That series, went 6. It was definitely close, which I think we all probably thought, LA would be a tough go. Biggest surprise for me in the first round and with the Oilers, and I took them in 5, not because I thought LA was going to be a team they were going to walk over, but I just figured they'd be able to hold the lead better than they did, which they didn't do. Obviously, there was only one, if you want to call it a blowout game. I don't know if I would call it exactly a blowout, but it was as close as you'll get in that series. But wow, I mean, Oilers not losing in regulation is a pretty big deal, and finding a way to win in overtime is also a big deal, considering their record. So, but all of those things, yeah. I mean, I still can't get over Boston with that type of a collapse and just how good that team was. I know the President's Cup curse, whatever. I mean,
did I not say in our preview show that they hadn't faced adversity all year, and that there's a very good chance if they run into it that they might not know how to defeat it?
But they had three.
Boston,
they had 3 shots at adversity. That's the sad part of it, right? I mean, you just need to, and it. I honestly thought even in that final game 7 they were going to pull it out. It looked like there was a point, but hey, you know what? That's why you play. That's why you play the games. See who wins, and it makes for an exciting NHL. What has it been? 23 or not 23 years? We know exactly the last time any one of these teams have won was in 2006 when the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Edmonton Oilers. That's the last of the remaining teams to have won a Stanley Cup, I think, right? So it's kind of exciting. We'll see a new king crowned. The other thing I might say about the first round, and Sean, I know you're not as active on Twitter as you used to be, but I was, in some ways trolling Leafs fans because I knew they'd be bothered by it. But also somewhat serious about it. As I said, quietly, the Pacific Division became one of the top divisions in the league this year. Yeah. And I think these playoffs have kind of, proven that to be maybe true, more so than anybody was giving the Pacific Division credit for. Especially watching Seattle again tonight show that they deserve to be there. Right? This is not a team that is getting lucky. They've had a pretty, I think, great regular season for this team, and they're continuing to do what they do, and they're getting some goaltending to go along with it. So that's kind of my outlook on all of the first round. All right, let's talk about the second round first. Let's go to a couple of comments. We got some folks tuning in. We got Garrity says, looking good, Durst. It's a little bit early in the evening, Garrity, to be that drunk. As the 17th place team ever knocked off the first place team. We talked about what's the, I assume Florida beating Boston. The miracle on Manchester was a 48-point difference. Of course, that was only a best of 5, right? I don't know.
The Oilers in 06 must have knocked off the Detroit
Detroit.
Red Wings, I'm sure
Yeah.
that Oilers team would have been at least 17 or 18. They scraped into the playoffs that year.
I remember San Jose beat Detroit one year. San Jose was barely got in. I think Detroit was the President's Trophy winner.
Yeah,
They were 6-2, I believe.
Yeah.
crazy. Either
How about
way, it was
Boston,
an
like, didn't
epic
even-
collapse. In my
Oh.
mind, if it's not the biggest upset, in playoff history, it's close to.
Give up 2
certainly
leads
not.
at home in Game 7 and then lose it in overtime. Florida didn't lead once in that entire game, and they won Game 7 and the series.
Yeah,
Well, and Boston, like when Boston scores 5 goals in a game and they lose,
Yeah.
right? Like, how does that happen, right? Their goal.
Sean, they gave up a touchdown in Game 6. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. Their goaltending really let them down. But I mean, they had a lot of injuries too. Bergeron was hurt; he came back. Krejci was hurt; he came back. And like I think, like Dash said too, they didn't really have a lot of adversity. They weren't really challenged in the regular season. And one thing we always forget about every year, and that's kind of why I went with Seattle this year in my pool, although I still didn't do great, is the playoffs is a whole new season.
yeah.
So like some teams are just built for the playoffs, and Seattle just they're such a great coached team, and they're so good 5-on-5 that come playoff time, that's kind of the team that you don't want to face, right? They got the Larson, the Alexiaks, those big heavy defensemen that can kind of lean on you, and yeah, it's just it's crazy what happened.
Yeah, 100%. What else we got? Who's going to be the dark horse for the Oil in this round? We'll get to that. And then Tara says, I thought I saw a tweet, maybe Dash. Boston lost 7 home games and 3 were versus Florida in the playoffs. I think was Florida not the only team that had a better record against Dash or against Boston than any other team in the East? Didn't they have the best record against Boston too in the regular season?
yeah, they did.
Yeah, like they had the winning record. They were the only team with the winning record against Boston in the regular season.
They matched up good, yeah.
Yeah.
We
And,
were
and
fine.
sometimes that's all it is. Although, I mean, let's not forget that Florida was the President's Cup Trophy winner last year, right?
Yeah.
And they needed some time to adjust to a couple of big names coming in and a couple of big names going out, right? And I don't think I actually think it was smart to move Huberdeau out and bring Tkachuk in. As much as I hate Tkachuk, I mean and take some time to gel on a team when you have, especially when you got a guy like Tkachuk. But look at these former Flames doing well in Florida.
Well, and
Tkachuk, right?
they started the series too. Don't forget, they started the series with Alex Lyon in net
That's right. Yeah.
against Boston, and they
Yeah.
still won that series.
Yeah.
Even though he got pulled and they went with Bobrovsky.
Still.
Yeah, and Bobrovsky looks like he's going to be the goaltender of the playoffs right now.
He played really well today.
Yeah, he's certainly showing like he's a playoff tender. I love the the Columbus reference against Tampa, and then the versus Boston. I mean, how big is that? Right? The two top point scoring teams in or regular season points in NHL history. He's responsible for taking them out, so that's pretty awesome. All right, let's talk some second round matchups. Just let me get my trusty notes out here because I like to keep this record so that we can look back at how awful our picks were or how great our picks were. For nothing other than if I'm number one, then I can talk about it all night, and if I'm not, then we just move on from it. One of the benefits of being a host, right? We're going to start with the Maple Leafs versus Florida, and so here's how we'll do it for each series. I'll pick one of you to start. And then I want to hear what your prediction is, and your prediction, and then maybe any commentary as to why you think, what why you think that prediction is going to come true. And there's 4 series. There's 4 of us, so each of us can start in one of them. So I'll start. Dursa, we'll start with you. We're going to do the Maple Leafs versus the Florida Panthers. So first off, let's hear your pick, and then you can let us know why.
I'm going to take the Panthers in 6. I think they're just playing at a really high level. They seem really opportunistic. And Bobrovsky, from what I saw tonight, that guy's dialed in. He's on another level, and I just don't think Samsonov can match what Bobrovsky's game is at right now. I'll take the Panthers in 6 there.
There's still some Leafs fans that have the Leafs in 4, by the way. All right, Sean, let's get your opinion.
Well, Florida winning game 1 certainly kind of influences that a little bit. I'm still going to stick with Florida in 6 as well. Just for the simple fact, Bobrovsky for sure. But I kind of feel like sometimes when a team, they can never do anything and they finally get over the hump. I feel like that was almost like their Stanley Cup. They beat Tampa. Finally, we got the monkey off our back. And, they kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit. They feel like that pressure's off. And now they're facing a completely different type of team. Yeah. And I feel like it's just, they're going to fall behind, and it's just going to be too much for them to come back on that. And Florida just gives teams a lot of trouble with their style, right? So I'm going to go with Durst, and I'm going to take Florida as well. 6 games.
In 6 games. All right. I'll go next. Dash, I'll let you take the end one on this one. So I'm going to take – I'm tempted actually to take the Leafs because I would love – as much as I hate to see the Leafs in the Stanley Cup final, I would love to see the Leafs and the Oilers in the final. Yeah. And then for the Oilers to absolutely demolish them and end any conversation that has ever happened before. But I kind of, I would have taken the Leafs actually earlier before tonight happened. But you're right. Like this game tonight, you see the Panthers go in, Bobrovsky play the way that he played. But I still think the Leafs can, a lot will ride on the next game. Obviously, I think if the Panthers win the next game, that's probably it for the Leafs for sure. But if the Leafs can come, I'll say Leafs in 7. And that should and probably will be the last time that I ever say the Leafs are going to win a series. And actually, that might be the first time I've ever had the Leafs winning a series. So,
well, you're being perfect so far, then.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dash.
Boy, oh boy, this is the one where you make me choose with my heart instead of my head again.
Yeah.
This is about as fence sitter as it gets. But if I was going to pick with my brain, I think I'd take Toronto in 7, and it would just be because of similarities to the Oilers. There's just too much overwhelming star power to hold them back, and they're solid everywhere else in their game. That said, there's something special about the Panthers. I don't know if there was a tougher out in the first round, clearly, but just even in the way they did it, right? Just it was similar to LA versus Edmonton. LA never had led in any of those games that they won. We dominated the series, and I think there's some similarities there with the Panthers, right? And they're just a tougher out than LA, which is a lot of respect said. I'm going to go with the X factor that none of you guys noticed, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Paul Maurice. I think he's the best coach in the NHL, and it might not even be close. And the way that this team matches up against the Maple Leafs might be beneficial. The Toronto doesn't dump. They're just
Did you just
possession
joke?
hungry. All puns intended there, Leafs. And Florida's really good at creating perimeter shots and not giving up a lot of high quality chances. So, if they can neutralize those top players for the Leafs, who quite frankly haven't accomplished shit in their careers yet, we'll see. So I am officially going to pick the Panthers in 7.
Panthers in 7. All right. You did start with the Leafs in 7, I thought.
That's my heart. I mean, that was my brain. I'm going with my heart, Leon, though.
All right. Tara, clearly related to you, says I really like Maurice too.
She's just got a brain on her shoulders.
No, Maurice is a good coach.
Another Dashney burner. Imagine that.
There you go. I just, Taychuk will drag them into the fight. He's the type of guy that could start a fight in an empty room. And I just think that, I don't know, maybe it's Ryan O'Reilly's too much for him, like Kane was. But if it's not, I don't know. Florida's got a chance. They definitely got a chance.
Montour's on another level too for them.
Yeah. I think that's Maurice. I think that's a system.
He's not the best coach in the league, but we'll get to that later.
Careful, this takes hot.
I love it. Love it.
Because Woodcroft is all right. I can see it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, we're moving to where I think this is going. We're moving to the Seattle versus Stars matchup, and we'll stick with you, Dash. And just so you know, it's looks like 9:33 or roughly just over 9 minutes left in the third period. Seattle is up by 1, 4-3. Your thoughts on this series, where that's going to go, and we'll start with you, Dash.
I just think that, the 5-on-5 play is great. Grubauer's done what Grubauer's done. I don't know if there's enough high-end scoring there. I just feel like, especially without Jared McCann in the lineup, having to score 7 straight games, having to score more goals than the Dallas Stars for 7 straight games without McCann and against Ottinger, I'm not sure that can happen. I think Dallas has a superior forward group, defense, and goaltending, and generally over 7 games will come through. So I like Dallas, and I like them pretty fast. Let's say Stars in 6.
Okay, Stars in 6. All right. And we'll go
maybe 5 if they come back in this game.
Dursa, thoughts on Kraken versus the Stars?
Well, being able to solve the Avalanche, even though they've been injury riddled all season, and kind of get through that, I'm going to take the Kraken in 7. They put up 4 on Ottinger tonight in 2 periods, so they found a way to be able to score on that guy, whether they're that.
They did it. They did it in 1 period.
They did it like a minute.
After the first, or was that after the second?
It was 4-2 after the first.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, they found a way to get to Ottinger, and Ottinger hasn't looked like the same guy this year yet. That kind of shell shocked the Calgary Flames last year. He's still a goalie that scares me, so I'm kind of thinking with my heart instead of my head, because I don't want the Oilers to face them if they can get through Vegas, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because Vegas is going to be a task. But no, I'll take Seattle in 7.
All right. Seattle in 7. John.
Funny, I mentioned Chris. I said Chris Knobloch, but I'm thinking Dave Haxtell, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right?
Haxtell.
Yeah, I got those two mixed up. I don't know why. They look the same. I think they're both gingers.
And my brain went to Chuck Knobloch. Jeepers.
Well, we had that conversation earlier.
We were
Remember
talking
when he had
about
the
that
yips?
earlier. Yeah. Still thinking of Joe. I like Seattle as well. What did you take them, Dursa, in 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take them in 7 as well. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. All those guys have so much to prove. They have like a team full of second liners, and they got tough D. They're playing a great system. They were the number one team 5-on-5 in the regular season, I think, in goals. I want to see Larson, Eberle. Who else? Who am I missing?
Schultz.
Against the Oilers in the next round. So I'm gonna take Seattle in 7.
Yeah, that's good. Good choice. Okay, I'll round this one off. I'm going to take the Kraken in 6, and a lot of the same reasons Sean was talking about. I mean, 5-on-5, throughout the year. But one of the areas that nobody's talked about is just the energy level in Seattle for this playoffs, right? And I think that, if they come out of this game, which, this game's not over yet, but if they can come out of Dallas with a win in hand, I really think that they're going to take this series. Right. I think that they go back to Seattle, energy levels through the roof. Do we know for sure? I know McCann's not on the trip to Minnie. Do we know, or to Dallas? Sorry. Do we know for sure if he's out long term? I think it's still kind of undisclosed. So that'll obviously have a big sway on the series. Ettinger. I thought he played a hell of a first round against Minnesota. He's a playoff goalie for sure, so he does scare me. I just can't. I get this. I hope that I'm wrong about the Kraken in terms of going all the way to the finals, but I get this feeling, like this momentum feeling for a team like this, right? Like, they come through that first series against and beat, Colorado, which, like, that game 7 was no
4-4.
Yeah, it was no joke, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's 4-4 now. Yeah. Game 7 was no joke. So can I change in real time here to Kraken in 7? There you go. I'm going to go Kraken in 7 now. I was saying Kraken in 6. Of course, they'll probably do it in 6. But anyway, I just think you get the momentum of playing. Like, watching Makar and McKinnon in that final game. Like, honestly, Makar is he's unreal. And the Kraken they found a way to win that game. And so I think momentum's in their favor in the playoffs right now, just like it is for Florida, right? Although I did take the Leafs in that series, but that has so much to play come playoff time, especially getting the fans involved. Although Florida, they'll be lucky if they sell out still, but Seattle will sell out and more. It should be a pretty exciting series there. Kraken in 7. All right. Next up, we've got Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. And just before we get into this one, maybe I'll start this one. I'm going to say the Devils in 6. I took the Devils against the Rangers. I think that I have a hard time believing in Carolina. I don't know what it is, and I was really surprised that they, and maybe I shouldn't have been. That series was maybe not even as close as I thought it would be. The Islanders-Canes series. I don't know. I just don't get this feeling. And then the Devils, were defensively so good near the end of the series against the Rangers. My favorite player, Hughes, right, Dash, who I early on in the season said he'd be lights out, if you recall. Anyway, I just...
You mean the time I said that he'd get at least 30 more points this season? You told me that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I did think it was ridiculous at the time.
Yeah, he got 40 more points.
See? It's ridiculous you didn't go higher. go higher, man. Like I can't believe. Anyway, I just think Dallas is another one of those teams riding momentum. If there's a big question mark, it's got to be on the goaltending side, right? And goaltending wins playoff series. I'm just not a believer in Carolina, so I'm going to go Devils in 6. But I will say, is this not like the least exciting playoff series? Like New Jersey and Carolina. Do you even know any Hurricanes fans? Do you know any Devils fans? Like at least in the.
I think that'll be an exciting series.
I mean, it might be. It might be exciting to
that's
watch.
high
but,
speed, high skill.
But there's just nobody who's cheering for anybody. It'll be fun to watch. It's just like, do you know any Devils fans? I don't know. Like I know more Sabres fans than I know Devils fans and Canes fans. Yeah. Anyway, you're 100%. I'm just saying, like from a fan perspective, like who gives a shit who wins that series?
Might be good hockey, just there's no F's.
That's right.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right. So up next on this one, we're gonna go with Dash.
I'm starting to have this feeling in my gut like we're gonna have this 2006 rematch. As soon as Jesse Yessa Puljujärvi headed over to Carolina, there was these little rumblings, right? Oh, we'll see in the finals. I don't know. It might happen. Carolina's also a tough out, as we just realized when they don't have Svechnikov, Teuvo Teravainen, or Pacioretty playing in their lineup, and still were pretty efficient in beating the Islanders, in my opinion. They didn't wipe the floor with them, but they were effective, I think. And ultimately, they have momentum on their side. They went 2-2-0 against the Devils in the regular season, so the Devils hadn't beat them in the regular season. I think the goaltending could end up being the answer. Carolina has a deeper defense. You could say that Carolina is going to have trouble scoring, but quite honestly, New Jersey had trouble scoring too. Like with Eric Holla, is he their leading scorer? Like that's, going to be interesting to see how it goes. So it probably comes down to the goaltending, in which, what are you looking at? An Antti-Ranta, Freddie Anderson combo versus, I can't even remember that guy's name. Akita Schmid.
Yeah.
Schmid, yeah.
Schmid, yeah.
So if he comes and reverts back to the mean, then I still like the Hurricanes. And so I got to go Carolina 7.
Carolina in 7. All right. And up for third, we go with Thursa.
Yeah, I'll take Jersey. I'm going to say in 5. I that speed game that they have. They had more breakaways last night or the other night against the Rangers than the Oilers and Kings gave up each other in the whole series. I mean, it was a track meet. There were so many odd man rushes. Like their speed game is on another level. I think whoever comes out of that series though is not going to go any further. Toronto and Florida both play big boy hockey, and I just don't see that out of New Jersey. But they definitely have a fast up tempo game. So yeah, I'll take the Devils in 5.
Devils in.
I think Brindamore and their defense are being underrated there, Durs. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's bold in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Canes have already surprised us in one round, but there were a lot of surprises in the first round, and I don't think the Canes were necessarily the underdog against the Islanders.
They've got some
the
big
Islanders should have been. They were maybe one of the weaker playoff teams, right?
Canes have some injuries to some key players too, right?
Oh, Timo Meyer's teeth are still in
yeah.
Truba's shoulder pad.
They should
Timo Meyer got hit so hard his dog barked.
They hugged it
should
out.
they should have put him through concussion protocol today because I'm sure he's feeling that.
Oh, man. All right, Sean, you're last at this one. Everybody's all over the place. Nobody agrees on anything. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of super torn on it. Like if I'm just, and I haven't really been following Carolina too much, to be honest, the whole year. I didn't realize Svechnikov and Pacioretty, they're both out for the year, right?
Yeah.
What about Teravainen? Is he out? He's out.
He's out as well, yeah.
Teravainen is.
Teravainen is out.
He's out surgery. Yeah, broken hand.
So normal.
Aho and Stashny led their team there.
Yeah. So normally I'd say Carolina has the experience. They've struggled in the past and all that. They've taken their licks and they're due. They're more experienced, but with all those guys out, it's going to be tough. And New Jersey does kind of play that real aggressive, fast style. And I don't even know who the Schmid guy is. The first time I heard of him was in the playoffs.
Me too.
But I'm gonna go with New Jersey. I just feel like they're clicking. They're going to be a tough team to stop. Carolina just doesn't have that. They just don't do it for me. Without all those guys, I can't see it. I mean, it could go either way. I'll take New Jersey in 7, but I'm really not confident about that.
Yeah. I mean that one's all over the place for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the hardest series to call out of all of them, right? Partly because you don't know. Both of those teams are dealing with different things, right? Like New Jersey's dealing with goaltending, and Carolina's dealing with some wicked injuries, right? Like this is not. Makes you wonder though, just how good the Canes would be if they didn't have the injuries.
Yeah,
right.
They would be the favorites in the East for sure. I think if they had all those guys right now,
after those results,
now they would be out of these Final Four for sure.
All right, we are on the creme de la crop here. The Oilers versus the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, there's only one answer in terms of which team we're all taking. That's just in how many games, I guess. I will have the mute button on the ready. Just kidding. But we're going to start with SPR. I guess you start this one.
All right. Well, I mean, honestly, I like Vegas in 5. I don't think the Oilers have much scoring. I don't think they're a really good team.
Mute.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
No, honestly, I think the Oilers. Honestly, I think the Oilers. I think they're going to have an easier time against Vegas than they are LA. Quite honestly, I think they're going to dominate them. Vegas really struggles. Well, they struggled at home up until like December this year. They're perennial slow starters. They got romped game 1 against Winnipeg. They got like 15 shots. I think Edmonton jumps on them early, wins the first game. They might even pull out the second one. I just think the Oilers they're on a roll right now. I think they're unstoppable. And I think they're still a bit of an underdog too against Vegas, which is great because Vegas is the top seed, right? And I just think they're going to go in there and I think they're going to stomp them. I really do. I'm going to take Edmonton in 5.
All right. Oilers in 5. Just as a little note there, Garrity's saying Stone left practice early, confirmed by Tara. Yeah. And I think the Knights are pretty much. I guess I'm actually up next if I'm going on my thing here. Yeah. So Stone left early. I mean, who knows, right? It's if Stone leaves, he leaves. Lots of guys have left early. I mean, David's knee was hurt during practice, as we know. Did I say that live? Are people going to blame me? Are they going to be coming after me? Possibly.
Easy there, Michael Rashog.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
being your podcast.
that's right. That's right. I mean, Sean's right about one thing. Like, he's right about a lot of things, but
Only one thing.
yeah, only one thing. I do think Oilers will have an easier time against Vegas than they did against LA. I think the Oilers probably learned something in the LA series as well. You know, they or at least can take a lesson, right, on how to keep a lead, right? Like they, losing those two leads early on in the series were, I think, beneficial to, the growth of the team as they go through the playoffs. And I thought Desharnais, who was absolutely horrid in the first part of the series, actually got better as the series went on, and I expect him to mature. I mean, look, that's his first, 6 games of NHL playoff experience. This team is just they're just gonna, they're just starting their roll, right? Like this is the Oilers team we've been wanting for a long time. Ekholm, I don't think we've seen the best of Ekholm yet. And I thought he was really good, right?
Yeah.
I thought Nurse got better as the series progressed too. And he had a couple of rushes in that in the final game there that were, next level. I just love this team when they get to that point where they're starting to feel good. And I think Skinner. I mean, everybody that's not in Edmonton is making a big deal about the 890 or whatever save percentage. He's not Grant Fuhr, but he's making saves when he needs to make saves, and I still love his positional play. I think some of that can be chalked up to a little bit of rookie goaltending in Stanley Cup playoffs. He's just going to get better and better as the playoffs progress, and people will. I've had a lot of Leafs fans come to me and say, well, Oilers goaltending was pretty shaky. I didn't look at it that way. I never, there was not a game where I thought that Skinner played absolutely horrendous. He just had, he might not have been like lights out, but he made some pretty key saves. And the other thing is you got to feel good about Jack Campbell coming in the way he came in. Actually takes a little bit of the pressure off of Skinner, in these series. So I might not be so bullish as to take Oilers in 5, but I'll take Oilers in 6 in this one. And I think we haven't. The other thing is we definitely didn't see the best of McDavid yet, and I feel like the Eichel thing, and just even though that's not a big deal, I just think. It's not a big deal to Oilers fans, but I think McDavid always wants to prove that he's number one, and this will be another piece for him to prove it. Draisaitl, I don't know. If he gets any better, he's he's already my favorite for Conn Smythe if they get that far. He's got to be right.
No.
So anyway, that's what I'm taking. Oilers in 6. Next up, we've got Dash.
Well, as you said, there's only one answer, but I'm going to back it up. The Oilers I agree with Sean wholeheartedly, pretty much echo everything he said, to be honest. I do believe that they're going to have a much easier time with Los Angeles than, a much easier time with Vegas than they did with Los Angeles. We've just always historically matched up well against the Knights. I was just actually doing a little bit of adding and scrolling backwards here as we were in the podcast. This is probably a pretty good tweet I could put out. But to my knowledge, I don't think we have lost to the Knights in regulation in the last 10 games. And going back all the way to 2020, we were 8-0-2. We haven't lost to the Knights in regulation since February 26, 2020. Might want to fact check me, but that's as dominating as it gets. We were 3-1 against them this year. We played a game that was integral to our division placements, and we put up a touchdown on them. 7 goals the last time we played them, and that was the Knights team that we're basically facing, especially if Stone is out. I expect it to be a high-scoring series, but nobody's outscoring the Oilers. The interesting thing for me will be to watch is Las Vegas Knights were the least penalized team in the entire NHL this year. So that's, if the Oilers want to use their power play or their 60% power play, this might be a tough series to do that. So I fully expect a absolutely rancid Twitter complaining about the referees because the power play chances will be about 16-7 again.
Well, that's good, but it better be because Vegas power or penalty kill sucks. And how exciting will it be to see Brossoit and Skinner, two Bakersfield goalies, going at it too, right? That'll be fun.
For sure. The Oilers are just too good. They're too dominant. This high-end power can't be stopped. McDavid and Draisaitl have 43 points over the last 5 NHL playoff rounds that were scored. Nobody's even close to them. Cale Makar is 33.
Well, and have we seen the best of McDavid yet?
And we haven't even seen the best of McDavid for this year's playoffs. He led last season's entire playoff scoring. So they're 10 points up on anybody else, and they didn't even make it to the finals last year. That's dominance, and I'm just not sure that the Oilers can be stopped at this point in time.
Yeah,
Oilers in 5, and
5.
I'm just thinking because they let their foot off the gas, and that's the only reason. It won't be a game that Vegas wins. It'll be a game that the Oilers lose. I think they take the first 2 in Vegas. They come home, take their foot off the gas, lose game 3 in Edmonton, realize what they've done, fix their mistakes, dominate game 4, and then just close it off in game 5.
Yeah. I should have added. I mentioned I was listening to Rob Brown on Sirius XM NHL. He was on the Cooliest show today, and he brought up one thing that LA didn't do against the Oilers that really was the deciding factor, and it's that most teams are looking at the Oilers and saying, we're spotting you 2 goals at a minimum for having McDavid and Draisaitl. And so if we can score 3, we can beat the Oilers, and but you have to shut down the bottom 6. And LA didn't do that, as evidenced by Yamamoto scoring the final goal and Klim Kostin scoring a deuce. And the Oilers.
Somebody please mention that Evan Bouchard set an NHL record for power play points by a defenseman in the round.
Yeah,
Bouchard's amazing.
And these are all names that aren't Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid. And if you can't shut down the rest of the team, you're in for a world of hurt. We should be excited as Oilers fans. Obviously, you still have a series to play, but it's definitely one of those years, and that looked pretty good in our favor. All right, Dursa, you get last word on this one.
There's a part of me that's a little bit nervous because you go through this struggle series and stingy LA team that really actually until the latter games in the series played a real disciplined style, and I just hope that there isn't kind of an emotional letdown and sort of thinking you've won a series before you even started. That's the part of this that kind of scares me a little bit. So I think we'll win the series, but I think it will go 6 games. It wouldn't surprise me if it's shorter, if there is no kind of emotional sag with these guys, but that part scares me a little bit. And I think the undisciplined play hopefully is behind us. And we're in good shape there. If Vegas is going to the sin bin a lot, this series will be over real quick. But I don't think they're like an undisciplined team. I think they're a physical team, but I don't think they lack discipline. I do think we'll overwhelm them though when they get into kind of track meet style games. I just don't think Vegas has the top end talent that we do that can keep up with that. It will be interesting to see Brossoit against Skinner and who has the edge there. My gut tells me Skinner is a little bit more of a patient goalie and more positionally sound, I think, than Brossoit. But Brossoit might be a little bit more athletic, and I'm interested in that. I don't think Pietrangelo is quite the defenseman he was when he was in St. Louis, but still a pretty good D-man. But I think, the acquisition of Ekholm kind of cancels that out a little bit. And the way Bouchard's playing right now, I mean, that's next level. And don't sleep on Brett Kulak. I almost called him the plumber, Matt. Brett, I thought, had a fabulous series, against the Kings. And Nurse, for me, as it went on, in Game 7, I thought he did a real good job of trying to contain Kempe, and Kempe was a force for the Kings. And I think that Yamamoto goal was a direct result of Nurse's drive there and holding on to the puck and holding the zone there. I like us. I think it's a 6-game series because I think Vegas has enough there that they can just win a game. I don't think we'll have puck luck in 4 straight games where everything goes our way. I think that's a little bit unrealistic, but who knows? Like I say, if Vegas is undisciplined, it could get late early for them.
You brought up a player that none of us mentioned, which is Kulak, and he kind of looks like the Kulak from the Montreal Canadiens run, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's certainly playing with some speed and agility and
some nastiness too, like him
nastiness and I mean he's obviously he's not. If you're relying on Kulak, then you're in trouble. But you need that kind of play from your third pairing in order to win the odd game, and he looks good. Like
Kulak in Montreal had Petrie and Weber and Edmondson, right? That were all big and nasty around him, and I think that's similar to what's going on here. Nurse and Ekholm are all big and nasty.
I didn't realize how big Broberg was until we seen him kind of in scrums with the Kings. He's a kind of a big guy too. Like size wise, he's not the thickest guy in the world, but he's not small.
Oh, he is. He's thick, man. He's chiseled out of stone. That guy. He's Clefbaum 2.0.
Yeah. I guess he was beside Desharnais when I saw that one thing, and Desharnais is a Coke machine, so yeah, it's hard to compare. But he's a big guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, you just kind of maybe open the floor for a couple of minutes, and we'll talk about this series and a couple of the things. I guess Kulak's a good one to talk about. One thing I'm kind of curious to get all your takes on is after seeing the first series, who in the bottom 6 is going to be an X factor for the Oilers, do you think? And maybe do a jump ball. Let's see.
I like Fogle. I think his 5-on-5 play was immaculate in the first round. And talk about Kulak, I think they had a similar type of game, from a forward defense perspective, of course. But Kulak's 5-on-5 play, or Clean Costin, one of those two guys where you keep rolling them out on the 3rd or 4th line. And if we go 11-7 and can stick McDavid or Draisaitl out with those guys every now and then, for me, that's where my money is. Yeah. Did you see that Pavelski just dragged Dallas back into this game? It's going to overtime 4-4.
Yeah. It's been Pavelski comes back, gets the 4 goals. Ridiculous.
Oh, he scored all 4?
Yeah.
All 4.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Good. Wait, go back and look at his net front presence in those goals.
I have him in my pool.
Absolutely ridiculous, right?
Last player with 4 goals in a playoff game was Denis Gurianov versus the Flames.
Yeah. So Garrity's asking now Janmark, he's expected to return. Garrity asks who comes out for Janmark, and you got to think that it's going to be 12-6, right? Anybody think otherwise? I guess, Dash, you were just suggesting 11.
Injuries will dictate probably, like Broberg might, right? If somebody gets hurt in the meantime, then it's an easy decision. If everybody stays healthy, then Broberg probably comes out.
Yeah, that would be my thinking on it. And there's nothing to say that, and Woodcroft has done that. He typically, the sad part is he's done it at the at Clem Costin's expense, which, I always I love Costin, the way he plays, but it seems that Woodcroft, if he's looking for extra minutes for McDavid or Draisaitl, that's who pays the piper.
Who do you got for an X factor in the bottom 6?
Yeah, I'd have to. I like Fogel. Fogel's so streaky for me that I don't know. If I had to go with anybody, and again, it would depend on Janmark coming in, but like I think a guy that he had such a solid year, and I think playing against Vegas, it might be good for him. Is Derek Ryan? I think is the guy that I would like to. Maybe it's more of a wishful thing, but like he's not. I just think that he's the kind of guy that makes the difference in a series like this, right? Like he's just, he had such a good year, and he was the Bill Masterson nominee, right, for Edmonton, and rightfully so, right? Like who had him on their bingo card as being a solid Oiler for the season, right? Like not a lot of
Did
folks.
exactly what he did last year: 10 goals, and 5-on-5 play,
and did you
no
expect
special
it though?
teams.
Like you kind of at some point you feel like it's just going to drop off, but he just he gets out there and does the same thing. And when he makes a difference, I think he makes a really good difference. He's I'm just looking. He's 36 years old now, so he's not he's not young. He's not a huge guy, but he continues to do the same things. I'll take Derek Ryan as my X factor in the series, just as a guy that makes all the difference in the world. I'm good to see him on draws and stuff too, and
Just dawned on me, Janmark will be playing against his ex team.
there's that too. Yeah,
I think Ryan McLeod's going to do well. I think his speed's going to create problems for
Honorable mention.
Vegas. And I see Neil Garrity says I hate 12-6. I mean, I'm actually a big fan of 11-7 myself in the playoffs. And one thing we forgot to mention, Dash, when you were saying that Edmonton dominates the Knights, that's been with Draisaitl and McDavid on separate lines. They've dominated. So I fully expect Woodcroft to go back to that, and just keep rolling those two lines, like just hammer them with those two lines, right? And then McLeod can come in there and take some tough minutes as well. But I think he's due for. He hasn't really had a trademark game or series or anything really, and I think maybe this round, hopefully, he can kind of make his mark, kind of like Todd Marchant-ish type of thing, score a few big goals. So I'm gonna go with McLeod.
Jeez,
His brother
he's
doing
exactly
the same thing
that.
in New Jersey too.
Yeah, he's exactly the Marchant type of player too, right? Like that's a good
better hands on the breakaway.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Dursa.
Yeah, like Fogel games 1 through 6 gave you the exact same game. He just worked hard and finished all his checks and worked his ass off. For me though, I think my X factor in a series like this is I'll go with Clean Costin. Brings that physicality, and he's found that kind of hard wrister snapshot through defensemen's feet that goalies have a hard time with. Him and Kane both, found their shots to the far side on Korpisalo that ate him for breakfast. I'll go with Costin. I think he's probably got the skills to be a top 6 guy, but they put him in the bottom 6, and he in his limited time he makes a mark.
Yeah, he makes a mark with few minutes, and that's my challenge with putting him down as an X factor though is Woodcroft seems to steal minutes from Costin for like McDavid or for Draisaitl. I mean, he played that one game where he scored. He played 6.5, 7 minutes that game, right? Like he played next to nothing. I guess that's a testament to, like, I know shit in rec league hockey. If I didn't play 20 minutes, I'd have a hard time going out and scoring a goal. I have a hard time going out and scoring a goal when I'm playing a regular shift. So, for a guy like that level to get off onto the ice for 7 minutes in a game and still have the wherewithal to put the puck in the net, and then come up big in a elimination game like he did. I mean,
he reminds me of another former Russian in Anton Shlepyshev, like that same kind of shot, but a more physical version of that. And and a little bit more mobile. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a solid choice. All of them are solid choices, and I think kind of the interesting thing that we can talk about a bottom six X factor and each have a different guy, right? Like that's I said it last that if this was last year's Oilers, I didn't think we'd get past the Kings the way that they played this year. Of course, it's not last year's Kings squad either. So, I mean, that's maybe not a fair statement that I made, but at the end of the day, I mean, this team is considerably different than the one that got us to the conference final last year.
Mhm.
Adding in Ekholm, adding in Costin, those are two guys that make
More
us
patient.
a lot bigger. Adding in Bugstad, right?
Yeah.
I think this Garrity's on the 11-7. I know you mentioned it, Sean. I just think that play 11-7 anyway. You know what I mean? Like, if you got to sit a guy to put McDavid out, you sit a guy to put McDavid out. That's the only thing.
Who comes out for Janmark then?
No, I'm saying like pay 12-6, but coach it like 11-7 if you have to. Right? I mean, I just think Woody will do that. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you need to put McDavid out for an extra 10 minutes in a game, he does it, right? He puts him out. I just don't think it. Yeah.
If I'm coaching
up on right wing.
If I'm coaching, I don't think about putting Janmark in until Saturday. Give him a few extra days.
I think he'll play. If they had a few extra days, he'll play. You can't. I can't see them sitting him. Maybe I'm wrong, but the thing is and Woodcroft's not afraid to do it. He'll put McDavid or Draisaitl. I'll give them more minutes if he needs to. I think the only thing 11-7 gives you is you've got Desharnais back there who is still a rookie, and maybe gives you the opportunity to throw Broberg in if you don't like what you're seeing, right? But I hope, knock on wood, I hope Desharnais over his playoff jitters.
I like the protection if in case somebody gets injured during the game, or if they get a major, you still have 6 defensemen, so you can still keep those pairs. And then if that doesn't happen, you just sit the 7th defenseman and just put Draisaitl or McDavid on the 4th line, right? So
I guess there's a question whether you're more afraid of the Kings forward group or the Knights, and because Desharnais' foot speed kind of got exposed a little bit, right, against LA. So are you worried about that again?
I don't think it was his foot speed so much as just bad reads.
Yeah,
like
bad pinches.
Yeah,
poor gap control.
Yeah, I'm not
too emotional.
That's what I think it was. It was the emotion.
I
right?
agree.
Like the fact that he was yelling at the officials after every call, and you earn that respect from officials. You can't just yell at, Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily his foot speed. He got caught flat-footed a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't sure. He got caught in between. He didn't know what he was doing.
Bad decisions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He got caught on a northbound train when they were heading south.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. All right, guys. I just want to go around the horn, and then we'll finish it off tonight. We'll finish off with you tonight, Sean. I'll say my stuff. Go to you, Dursa, Dash, and then finish with Sean. Round one, I'll just say, it was absolutely. I enjoyed watching all the hockey. As much as I hate the Leafs, I'm glad that they finally won a series. I hate to say it, but shit, as Leafs fans, I mean, they waited 19 years. That's a freaking long time. We know as Oilers fans what it feels like to wait a long time for something. That's almost torture at that point. But that's about all the series that I hope they win, even though I took them. I'd be happy to be wrong about that one. So, I've got no problem eating crow and being wrong about that choice. But I do think the Leafs have a better team this year than they've had in recent years. So we'll see what happens there. Round 2, I'm equally as excited about. I mean, this my biggest concern is the one that you guys all brought up, which is that the Oilers may have too easy of a time with Vegas. And then if that happens, if they take Vegas, in, let's even say in 4 or even 5, and that Seattle series against Dallas goes 7, that can work against you, as you know. I mean, sitting down for
Can it though?
that
When you
long.
haven't lost in regulation in 25 straight games?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just a concern that I have that you're either in it deep against and you're just staying engaged. We'll see. I mean, I believe in this Oilers team more so than I've believed in any team that we've had since we made the playoffs in 2016. So we'll see how that goes, and I believe in Skinner. Whether some people are scared of his play or not, I think that positionally he's just been so sound that he's just going to get better as the playoffs go. And again, it's that fear-like sort of scenario where he just makes the right saves at the right times. The only time that he didn't make the right save was that Shorty goal the other night. But as we saw in the replay, that's pure puck luck and a broken stick. That was unbelievable. And outside of that, I like our chances. You look at Skinner, he just looks confident back there. He doesn't seem to be overreacting to anything. And the Oilers need a goalie that's not overreacting, that believes in the team in front of him as much as the team in front of him believes in him. So I think that's all good stuff. Thanks to everybody who tuned in today. As always, Heavy Hockey will be doing lots of stuff. I do hope as the playoffs go on, I'll do more daytime shows of Oilers Live, just to kind of look at specific games, and around lunchtime compete with Oilers Now. Oilers Live versus Oilers Now. Maybe benefit from the closeness in the name. Maybe get 2 or 3 extra viewers.
Typo.
Accidentally type it in wrong. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Anyway, appreciate everybody tuning in. Love you guys. This is a good panel to have. All 3 guys, I've known for quite a while. And Sean, good to see you again, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we get you on a couple more times during the playoffs here. And especially if the Oilers go deep, we'll definitely get you back on. So we'll go to you, Dursa, and then pass it over to Dash, and then Sean. We do, I don't know how long it's been since you've been on the show, but what I do now is I put everybody on mute, and the last guest gets the microphone to say whatever they want to say, without worry about being interrupted or anything like that. And when you're done, you say good night, and I turn on the end screen, and away we go. So you're going to get the last word tonight. It usually works against me if it's Dash or Dursa that get the last word, but tonight all right, Dursa, you're up.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's a big game. They say sometimes you're most susceptible for defeat after a big victory, and I think coming through that Kings series, I just hope they don't take Vegas too lightly. They already know it's going to be a different style of play. From that tight checking 1-3-1 trap bullshit that we played for 6 games against Kings. They know it's going to be open and a little bit more run and gun. I hope they take advantage of that and put Vegas on their heels, make them take penalties and pick them apart like they have been doing to everybody this season with the historic power play, and on another level in the playoffs, just unheard of, clipping along at 60 some odd percent. So yeah, I think tomorrow's a big one, and then they've got a few days to rest and recover, and it would be pretty sweet to come home to Edmonton up 2-0 in the series, but one game at a time. I hope we win this series and keep the fun going. So we got more to talk about for a few months yet.
Dash.
First things first, this is the first podcast we haven't had Angel on from LA in about 2.5 months. So I hope he's okay. Everybody's okay down there in LA, and his heart has been able to take this. Dallas, I want to change to Dallas in 5. They're in overtime here, and I said if they can win this game, I'm going to change my pick. So I'm just changing it now because I think they're going to win this. Hebert, your accuracy in the first round, given all of it, I'd honestly felt a little more comfortable if you'd have just taken the Knights in 5.
I think my accuracy was better than yours.
Oh, come on. Come on. But all seriousness, all joking aside, just honestly, a pleasure to be on here as always, buddy. Thanks for inviting me on for the 45th time. This is a ton of fun to talk about the Oilers with you. SPR, honor to be on here with you. I've watched you many times on the show. I respect your work. I love all your analysis on junior hockey, and really big fan, and I look up to you here. So I'm honored to be on here with you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
All right, finish
My
us
turn?
off, Sean.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, thanks for having me on. Thanks for the kind words there, Dash. You guys do a fantastic job. I kind of missed this, the intro music. Is that Bon Jovi that sang that song? Couple things, and I'll finish it off. I'm a man of few words, as you know. As far as Skinner goes, I think Skinner is, I have a lot of belief in Skinner. People are criticizing him. A lot of the goals he gave up, they were point blank shots. He didn't have any chance on most of those. And the stick broke on the one that was a giveaway. I have no concerns with Skinner whatsoever. He's got the makeup. He's got the mentality to play the position. I think he's a winner, and I am not concerned. I'm more concerned about Nurse Cece, the top pair, defensively than I am with Skinner. And as far as the best coach in the league, as far as I'm concerned, I think Jay Woodcroft is the best coach in the league. I mean, he's methodical. He's analytical. I love the adjustments he made in the series with LA. I love how his team got screwed over game 1. They responded. I love how they were down 3-0 in the first period and they responded. I like how stylistically he made adjustments, both offensively and defensively. I love the fact he didn't rely on Draisaitl and McDavid like so many other previous Oilers coaches have, although he did in this playoffs. But I expect him to go back to splitting them up. I think he's a terrific coach. I think he has a great handle of the locker room. He knows half the team. He coached them in Bakersfield. They all kind of look up to him and respect him. I think he's an absolute fantastic coach. I think Oilers fans, you should be super excited. And obviously I'm an Oilers fan too. I'm excited. I mean, this team has it all with the at-home edition. They're a complete team. They're a little bit weak defensively, but I think they make up with that with their depth offensively. I think they're the best team that are still in the playoffs. And I really think that they've had so many heartaches for so many seasons that finally this is the year that they're actually going to break through. So enjoy the ride. It's going to be a blast. Once again, thanks for having me, guys. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Peace out.